Guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Linda Frank. If you're new here and you haven't subscribed, kindly consider hitting that red subscribe button and getting yourself subscribed. So apparently it's in this closet that today I feel is the most quiet place in my house where I can do this video. Though I don't know what's happening to my lighting. It's almost as if I'm getting darker. I don't know. So I've still been struggling with my light. I don't know why I feel like sometimes I'm getting darker, my light is getting dimmer, but I was just with this remote trying to deal with my lights. Anyway, let's dive right into today's video. So as I was saying, before the lights rudely interrupted me, welcome back to my channel. It's Linda Frank, and in today's video, I'm gonna be telling you my story with PCOS. What is PCOS? PCOS is Polycystic Ovarian Syndrome. Yeah, so this is a video I never thought I'd have the courage to do, but lately I've seen a lot of women coming out to talk about it, and I felt like this is the right time to talk about this. So how does it work, or what does it do to you? So apparently this condition, if you have it, you bleed. Like you see your normal periods, you bleed more than usual. Like normal people, some people bleed for like, let's say 3 days, 4 days, 5 days. But if you have this condition, you tend to bleed for like maybe 2 weeks, some people the whole month, you know. And it's a condition that many people are passing through, and because nobody is talking about it, you're like, you feel ashamed about it. You feel like something is totally wrong with you, but not knowing that it's just having hormonal imbalance. So this thing, or this PCOS condition, personally, I started experiencing it back in 2007, and that was when I was in Form 1, I think, yeah. I started having my periods in high school, my first year in high school, and that was back in 2007. And then my mother took me to the hospital, actually, to go and see a medical practitioner, because I was like, Mom, I don't like the fact that I bleed too much like this. You see, there was that particular always pad, they used to call it Maxi Heavy. I used to buy Maxi Heavy, and I would still use 2 packs of Maxi Heavy. And it's like, if I wear a pad and I reach school, it's full, I change it. If I sit on morning preps and it reaches assembly time, it's full, I change it. After the first period, I changed it. Like, it was too much. Okay, so my mother decided to take me to go and see a medical practitioner. Mark you, this time, I'm still Sister Mary. If you know, you know, okay? I'm still Sister Mary. So surprisingly, what made me feel so bad was that when she took me to the doctor, and the doctor said, it's hormonal imbalance. Now that I'm old enough, I now understand that sometimes when you have hormonal imbalance, they can use these Femiplan pills for you. Even when you're having a Femiplan method that is making you to bleed so much, you can still take Femiplan pills together with the method you're using to regulate your hormones so that you can start having regular periods. Back then, I didn't know. So when we went to the hospital, the doctor advised my mother that they are going to give me Femiplan pills. And I was like, hey, what do you mean Femiplan pills? I'm still Sister Mary. What will I be doing with Femiplan pills? And even if any of my friends get to know that I'm taking Femiplan pills, they will now be thinking that I'm taking it to prevent myself from getting pregnant, when in the real sense, I had not even known a man when I was in that condition or in that situation. Fast forward to 20 what? No, before that. So after that, I rejected the Femiplan pills. So we left. After the condition kept on coming and coming, my mother was like, we went and discussed with my father. And my father was like, if that is what they say she should do, then she should do it. But my mother was also on my side. She was like, Femiplan pills, yeah. You know, so we decided to go back to the hospital again. But this time around, they decided to put me on Steron. So Steron are small tablets like Piriton tablets or like Nosic tablets, white in color. And They use it to balance hormonal imbalances. They are hormonal pills. They are hormonal tablets that you take, and they help you to balance your hormones. So anytime I'm using this steron, the blood will dry up. But immediately I stop using it, the blood is coming back, rushing back like somebody that has gotten a miscarriage, like somebody that has committed an abortion, you know. So it used to be very, very hard for me. So I kept on doing that. And my own PCOS lasted, guys. It's lasted for like 10 years. I mean, I was practically the woman with the issue of blood. Fast forward to when I met my husband. That was 2017. Yes, 2017. So when I met my husband 2017, something miraculous happened in my life. Prayers. God, it's good to have a praying man. Do you get? Because I told him about my condition, he could see it. And if you don't know my marriage story, is because it's in another channel of mine, my first channel ever, before I turned it into a news and political and celebrity news channel. I used to do lifestyle there, and there is where I narrated everything. But maybe I'll have time and do it again here for our new family members who have not been following me for long enough to know that story. So the long and short of it is, my husband was not the boyfriend that I was dating since no. My husband was the boyfriend that was ordained by God. You see, that kind of boyfriend that you just meet, the guy just gum on you, and will not allow you breathe. Before you know, you're married. Yes. So I told him everything, and he started praying with me. And we were trusting God on this my condition with Prophet TB Joshua. Prior to that, I never believed that miracles do happen. But let me tell you, when you heard the late TB Joshua pray, and you will say, distance is not a barrier. Please, my child is awake. If you hear voices, just ignore. Just know that I'm a mother. Mama, keep quiet, please. Promise. Prom. So, if she makes a lot of noise, I'm going to be forced to chase her away. So, where was I? I said, I never believed that miracles happened prior to that. But when I met him, he was staunch believer of the Synagogue Church of All Nations. He was really, really prayerful. And he made me to pray together. So when TB Joshua kept saying, distance is not a barrier, whatever you're trusting God, put your hand on the screen and pray. My sister, in our house, I used to on TB Joshua the whole day, the whole night. I think I need to send this child away. Well, guys, I'm back. So I've been forced to send that child away because she's even making me forget what I was saying. So I said, anytime he said, distance is not a barrier, put your hands on the screen, believe and pray. I used to pray. My husband used to pray along with me. Sometimes both of us would just be on our knees. We'll put our hands on the screen. We'll pray. When he say infirmities out, demons out, we prayed. That's how we prayed. You see, there's this song by Ebuka. Used to say, I will pray, I will pray, I will pray, oh, I will pray. If I don't pray, Satan will make mess of me. If Oyedepo can pray, if Poleneche can pray, oh, who am I not to pray? You understand? So that was my situation. I prayed, and I prayed. Promise, close my door. I prayed. What is it with kids when mother is doing a video? That's how they just be entering and making noise and confusing everybody. Is it only me? Please comment down, let me know. These kids of mine, anytime I'm in a good mood to make a video, that's when they will just come and be confusing me. Now I'll be calling this one, warning that one. I'll now be forgetting everything. Anyway, so that's how we believed with him. We prayed together, and suddenly, like, I met my husband, I think around June, July. By August, since we started praying with that TB Joshua, June, July. By August, the blood stopped. And then I took in for my first child. The blood stopped. The blood stopped, and then I took in for my first child. Now, maybe you heard me calling my son Promise. My firstborn is called Promise, and this is the reason why I named him Promise. Many people don't know why I choose to name that child Promise. I actually named my son by myself. All his names is me that named my child. You understand? Because this PCOS condition made me to be in that position in my life where I had already told myself, because I have been prayerful all the time, even since I was a child. I know that many people who don't know me personally, they will look at me and they'll be like, I'm like that kind of person who doesn't care. I really don't give a damn. I'm not prayerful like that. I'm just there. But I'm very prayerful. People who know me personally know that I am very super spiritual and prayerful. So I was in that level where even before I met my husband, you understand? Because when I met my husband, I was done. I was done with relationships. I was so done. Do you get? Like, done. I did not want anything relationship anymore. I don't even know how he convinced me, but that story for another day. But I had already told God that because of this, my bleeding too much, I've already told myself that if at all you'll bless me with a child, then I will know you are a promise keeper. And if you at all you bless me with a child, let my first child be a boy. That's what I told him. Let him be a son. Even before I met my husband, I was now talking, praying, and what is it called? Is it manifesting? I don't know. So, I don't know the right word to use, but you know when you're praying and you're asking God for something, I was like, because of my condition, if at all it turns out in future that I am barren and I can't have a child, I already accept my fate. Because it can only take a miracle for somebody like me who bleeds so much like this to have a child. Because probably I've bled all the eggs in my stomach. Who knows? But again, I told him that since it will take only a miracle, if at all you decide to bless me with a child, let my first child be a son, like a boy. I left that prayer like that. And it's a prayer I kept praying over and over again. It's not as if I prayed once and I left it. No. I kept praying it over and over again. So when I met my husband, surprisingly, when I went for my scan, they told me that I was pregnant with the boy. I couldn't believe it. First of all, God helped me to stop bleeding. That was a miracle on its own. How? I was praying on screen. Like distance was a barrier. By then I had not traveled to Nigeria with my husband yet. By then I had not. I traveled to Nigeria, I think, in 2021. But by then it was like 2017. Yes, 2017. Then I had my child 2018. Okay? Then I did my traditional marriage 2020. Then in 2021, I now traveled to Nigeria. But that same 2018 is when, that same 2018 February Valentine's Day, 14th, is when my husband was coming back to Nairobi from my village to knock on the door. What is it called? Introduction, to make his intentions known, to pay an envelope, to ask permission to go ahead and pay bride price and all that. So, the long and short of my story is that I had PCOS for the longest time I can remember, like 10 years, if not 11 years. And that is 2017, 2018, 2019, 2007 to 2017. That's 10 years, right? And I had it like I was like practically the woman of with an issue of blood. And I did not believe in miracles until a miracle happened to me. And who did God use to make that miracle to happen to me? God used my husband, who by then knew who TB Joshua was, because being a Nigerian, he knows TB Joshua. He knew him, and he knew what TB Joshua was capable of, like how God was using that man. He knew everything. I didn't know. It's through my husband that I knew who TB Joshua was, like practically. You understand? It's through my husband that I even traveled to Nigeria and saw SCOAN, and went to SCOAN ground live, like face to face. Prior to that, I didn't know. But God can use anybody, like anybody. Do you understand? So God delivered me using TB Joshua. I got pregnant. I named my first child Promise, because I believe that God keeps his promises. If I could bleed all the eggs in my stomach for 10 years and still get another egg to have a baby, not just a baby boy that I was asking for. God is too much. Who say God is not too much? The person is sick. God is too much. God is great, gracious. He is merciful. And that's why they normally say that sometimes you'll be praying. The prayer is not being answered. Don't give up. Keep praying it. Keep praying that same thing. That same prayer you keep praying. One day when you have forgotten, it will be answered. Now, the other day I was watching one preacher that was saying that there is a time back in his life when he was praying to God, because his pastor had a jungle green suit. So he was praying to God for God to bless him with the jungle green suit. So 4 years later, his senior pastor or something like that, I don't really remember it clearly, but his man of God went and sewed a suit that was jungle green. He went to the tailor took his measurements and everything, but as God may have it, or as some other tailors can always be confused, upon taking your measurements, the tailor still sewed this guy a smaller suit. So the guy now called this small pastor that has been praying for the past 4 years for a jungle green suit. The guy didn't know anything, but the pastor now called him and said, are you free so you can pass by my house later? He said yes. So when he went, the senior pastor now told him, my dear, there is this suit I sew, but the tailor took all my measurements but still ended up sewing a small suit for me. But looking at your stature, I think the suit will fit you. So he gave it to him. Only for him to reach home, open and wrap the suit, and realize it's a jungle green suit that he was praying for. And then he measured it and it fitted him perfectly, as if he's the one that took his measurements to sew the cloth. So you see what I'm telling you? This guy was praying for this suit for the past 4 years. He kept praying and praying and praying. And one day, God did a miracle. He did not even use his money to sew it, because he did not even have that kind of money. But still, he got it. That's what I'm saying. Faith is very important, and prayerfulness is very important. Forget that you are a sinner. See, everybody is a sinner. Even your Mami Gio is a sinner, because we are born sinners right from time. We have been sinners since. Nobody is pure. But the beauty of it is that God is not even looking for you to be perfect. God is not looking for perfection. God is only interested in you trying to live by his word. You trying to be faithful to him, like you trying to keep that faith. That's why the Bible says that faith without action is dead. If you pray and you believe, it will happen. Even if it doesn't happen now, it might even happen 2 years later when you're forgotten. 3 years later when you're forgotten. Or maybe 6 months later when you're forgotten. And there are some prayers too that God answers instantly, depending on what you're praying for. You see? So, this is my husband. I know they carry and play, do you get? Because he really stood by me in the most hard time of my life. If you're a lady watching me and you've had PCOS, you know what it means to bleed all the time. You know what it means to have cramps all the time. You know what it means to be bleeding and you are in pains all the time. Yo, it's not a joke. So I just felt like now, how many years later? 2017, 2018, like since I received my healing, that is 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, 21, 22, 20. This is 7 years later. I'm here testifying to you guys what the Lord did for me. I am super happy and so proud. And anytime I have any challenge in my life, I always tell God, if you could stop my bleeding that medical whatever could not stop, miraculously, a bleeding I had for 10 years, then I know there's no situation that you cannot do. If after bleeding all those years, you still found me worthy to have 2 kids, 7 years later, I have 2 children, a boy and a girl, to God's mercy and grace, promise Maya. If after bleeding all those years, your grace is still sufficient enough for me to have these kids, then I know there's nothing you cannot do. And let me tell you guys, my husband and I did not date. We dated for 2 weeks and we moved in together. Why? When I was dating this guy, he was always following me. I just think God just made him for me. Like, he just sanctioned him for me. Like, he had to marry me, because if he gave me small space, I told you guys that I was not in. I was done, okay? If he gave me small space, he wouldn't have found me. And by then, he didn't even know my village. So there's no way he would have found me. You'd have just missed it. Do you get? Anyway, I'll do another video. I'll let you know about the story of how I and my husband met and how we got married and stuff like that. Well, so I had so much fun telling this story, because when you have been through something and you have received healing, the joy is real. The joy of the Lord is real. You understand? So I just felt, let me share with you guys, so that in case there's a woman out there watching me, and maybe I should speak this to the camera directly. In case there's a woman out there watching me and you have PCOS and you're wondering whether God can do it for you, I'm just telling you today as your big sister, like, yes, God can do it for you. All you need is be consistent in your prayer and believe. If you believe, it will happen. It's all that you believe that happens to you. You attract what you believe in. If you pray and you have a shaking spirit, it will not happen. But if you pray with conviction and say, I believe you're gonna do it for me, he's definitely gonna do it for you. Why do I feel like a preacher in this video? Anyway. Thank you so much for sticking around to the end, guys. I hope this helps 1 or 2 people, if not all of you. Please subscribe if you haven't, and let's meet in our next video. That marks the end of my PCOS story. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was helpful to you. Bye.